Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Hawks21 here, back with another Splinterlands video. So Chaos Legion brought a new type of card into our decks, which are backline tank monsters. What I mean by that are tanks that have taunt and can attack from the back line. So if you don't know, taunt is this ability right here, which means all enemy monsters will target this monster if they are able to. So what that means is if a monster can attack, with a few exceptions, which I'll mention shortly, they will attack this monster. Now, why would you want to use a taunt monster in the back? The main reason that I've found, and I'm going to show you a few battles that show this, is that you have a really powerful attack monster in the front who might not be as viable of a defender and might die quickly if they came under attack right away. So putting a card like the Wave Brood or the Mycelic Slipspawn, which we'll get to in a second, in the back will draw some of that attention away from your main attack dealer and give them time to sort of do their thing. So I wanted to start on the Wave Brood. I guess quickly, the only people that will attack the front when there's a taunt in the back are cards that either A, are sitting in the front, so they will only attack the front guy, so the other person's tank will still attack your tank. And then cards with reach, who are in the second position, will still attack your tank. And then cards with scatter shot, as we know, go around the taunt ability. Doesn't necessarily mean they will attack your tank, it goes randomly. But they do have the ability, cards with scatter shot, to potentially hit your main tank in the front. So I wanted to start on Wave Brood, but I'm going to show you some battles where it shows the Mycelic Slipspawn in action, because I think that card's more viable sort of across all of the levels. So I play at gold, so I have the Wave Brood at a level 4, which is where I think he gets really powerful. So he picks up an additional attack, as well as the Void, which is how I utilize him the most. So I normally stick him in the back when I'm expecting magic. He's going to soak up a ton of magic damage and allow whoever I have in the front, whether it be Demon Shark or any sort of high attack monster that doesn't have any defensive qualities to them, it lets them survive a little bit longer. The reason why I think he's more viable he's less viable at lower levels is just because, the one attack, he doesn't synergize that well with Kelia. He does get the shield, and I guess if you played him with Bordis, you could nerf the other team's magic. Oh, but that he doesn't get the Void until gold, so actually never mind. He's 12 hit points, which is great. It's just they'll get through him very quickly, and at lower levels, you don't really have triage ability. He's almost more like a distraction than like an actively useful monster, which still can be useful. But the main focus of today is the Slipspawn. So we're going to head over. And part of that reason is because he synergizes really well with Obsidian, right, to get the extra magic. He starts with 2. So even in the beginning, right, similar thing here before he gets Force Field, which Force Field is a new ability. If the Slipspawn gets hit with an attack over 5, it only does 1 damage, which is amazing, and you'll see that in some of the battles. But the 3 attack that the Mycelic Slipspawn is going to get at the lower levels when you play him with Obsidian makes it a really healthy contributor on top of its high hit points, right? Where the Wave Brood isn't going to do a lot of damage and is in the same situation. At lower levels, the Slipspawn is also a very suitable attacker. So let's get into the battles so I can show you. I'm going to show you 3 battles, all with the Slipspawn, and all with Grunt, who to me is a perfect example of a monster who is extremely powerful, does a ton of attack at all levels, right? Even at a level 1, has double strike with the 3 attack, but has 0 defensive qualities across the board, right? Doesn't have Void, doesn't have Return Fire, doesn't have Shield. There's nothing really keeping him alive. And he's not the fastest monster either, so it's not like he's going to miss or people are going to miss him a lot. So he's very vulnerable if you don't have this distraction. But if you do get the distraction and you keep Grunt alive, he can completely decimate your opponent's team, specifically with the trample once you get to gold. But even before that, the 3 attack 2 times is, extremely valuable at the and powerful at the bronze level. So let's get into the battles. Battle number 1 here. A couple things to look for. So first, unrelated to what we're talking about, showing off the Izza a little bit. It's going to stun the Kron a couple times, which this Kron is weak and doesn't have Last Stand. But if Kron did have Last Stand, then we would be doing some damage to it with the Goblin Thief and Izza, and it would be unable to heal through the stun. You'll see this work out anyways, because it's going to get him Kron to a low enough level through the stuns that Grund will eventually take care of him. But as you can see, there is a lot of damage on the other side, including, right, the affliction and the poison from Dr. Blight, where, if we were to get Grund and we couldn't heal him with Kitty, Grund would be dead in a second. So the slip spawn's going to soak up a ton of damage and allow the Grund to just sort of go to work. There's Enrage too, so Grund's going to get super powerful. And it's all because of the slip spawn. If not, Grund would die within the first 2 or 3 turns. Let's just play this out slowly. Again, this is at the gold level, but this specific strategy and why I'm focusing on the slip spawn versus the wave brood is applicable, at lower levels as well. Obviously, Grund won't have trample, but same idea. So again, 8 damage right there. He gets 1 trample off. So the front line guy hits him, but everyone else just firing to the back line. He soaked up so much damage, and my Grund is still, at full health right now, partly because of the heal. There's a stun on the Kron, so he's down to 3 health in the back, and now you'll see we wipe out the rest of their team with Grund. So the extra survivability given to Grund from the slip spawn allows it to do this in the trample rule set. Boom, entire team wiped out. So yeah, little taste of how powerful that can be. Here's battle number 2. Here you're going to see Force Field at work as well. So they have a leveled up Mitika Headhunter who hits 5 archery. So whenever Mitika hits the slip spawn, pay attention, it's only going to do 1 damage. And then this battle, it's going to be less of a sort of clean sweep through their front line because they put the Chain Golem, which is an extremely resilient tank monster with the shield and void. Couple other things to note here. They also use the slip spawn, but they put them in the 2nd position. I would not suggest this, and you'll see why in my last video. Sorry, in the last battle I show you. But if I were to have a blast monster here, it's going to fire at the slip spawn, and it's going to do damage to the slip spawn, the supply runner, and the chain golem. So it's going to be damaging 3 of their attackers. If you put the slip spawn in the back, a blast damage would only hit the guy in the 5th position or the person right before this slip spawn. So you're saving an extra guy from having to take damage. Obviously, I don't want the Dr. Blight to take blast damage. I don't have to worry about it in this one. But it's just something to consider and why putting them last is generally advisable versus putting them in the 2nd spot. Now, one other thing to look at for this battle is the Amplify. So I don't know how many lower, in bronze and silver amplifies you have, but combining Amplify with a Backline Taunt is amazing. So watch how frequently the Queen Mycelia is going to heal up the slip spawn, which forces my opponent to just keep firing at the black line and giving Grund just enough time to do damage to the Chain Golem to get by him, so then we can start working on their back line. All right, let's start this. We'll go 2 times speed. So yeah, this battle's going to be a little bit longer, but see 1 damage there from the Mitika. That's a huge reduction, 4-point reduction in damage. So you can see the slip spawn right now is down to 2 health. Grund's doing his thing in the front. Mycelia heals him up to 5. That's just going to let it last a couple more rounds, which is going to make the difference with our Grunt before they start focus firing the front. So again, 1 damage from the Headhunter. Eventually goes down, but it's too little too late. Now their snipers are actually not going to fire at Grund either. They're firing at the Kron in the 2nd position, but we get through the Chain Golem, and now Grund's actually going to miss because the supply runner's too fast, but it's too little too late at this point. So yeah, once we get these archers in the front, it's no contest. Yeah, and grunt keeps getting healed. We're gonna see another trample. So yeah, it's all about letting grunt survive for as long as possible so we can just unleash his massive damage output that he has. All right, yeah, and you can see we easily end up winning this one. We'll have a couple misses, I think. Oh no, the rest is magic, so we'll take care of them right here. Boom. All because of grunt. Well, the slip spawn keeping grunt alive, I guess. And then last battle. So here was a bad setup, at least I thought in the beginning. So no attacks over 5, so the force field isn't doing anything. They brought 2 blast monsters. So you're going to see the Dr. Blight's going to die pretty early. And the scatter shot sort of increases randomness a little bit. So again, I'm bringing the triage, try to keep him alive longer. I was nerfing magic. I wasn't expecting magic, I don't believe, but still. And then also, this is actually a card I just bought that I think is extremely underrated, and I think I'm going to create a video on it, and synergizes really well in the strategy. But that's the Orc Sergeant. So it's 5 mana cost, has the reach, and in gold it gets the amplify, or sorry, the inspire, which gives an extra attack. So here it actually does, or hurts me a little bit, because grunt goes up to 5 attack, which normally would be amazing, but the Djinn has force field, so each 5 is only going to do 1 damage. But yeah, I think this is a underrated card that deserves some attention, specifically in this type of strategy, because you're going to give the grunt, 10 attack per turn, 5 with the double strike, while the other team is firing at the back line. So let's just play this. I thought, even like midway through this battle, I thought I was done. They were just doing a ton of damage, but we ended up pulling it out, obviously. So yeah, they're really fast. They're doing a bunch of damage. Oh yeah, grunt was getting stunned in the front. Like I thought this was, oh, that's a good example. So the reach right here, the Twilight Basilisk with the reach, attacks the first position even with a taunt in the back. It's good to know. So we did poison the Djinn right away, which was really important because we couldn't do a lot of damage to it, right? Like grunt was doing 1 and then 1 when he wasn't stunned, but he was stunned a lot. But he's just soaking up a bunch of damage in the back, and he's getting triaged. But our back line right now is really damaged. But our grunt, as you can see, is still at 11 health, down to 10 now. But so we're gonna lose Dr. Blight. Again, look how damaged our back line is, but it just doesn't matter. By keeping Dr. Blight alive, by keeping grunt alive for this long, it just lets them go nuts once we get rid of someone with the force field in the front. And grunt is still at 11 health. The slip spawn's also still alive in the back because of the triage and everything. So we lose our healer, or one of our healers. Kitty also heals. She's doing a ton of damage. 10 per turn right now. And with the trample rule set, you can see he, I believe, finishes it off right here. So yeah, the slip spawn doesn't even die in this one, despite all of that damage out there. The triage plus the backline taunt. I'm hoping these battles showed how powerful of a combination this backline taunt with a high damage dealer is in the front. One of the complaints about grunt is that he dies far too easily and quickly. And then this is just one way to, keep him alive longer and, as you can see, let him do his thing. If you learned anything today, or if you just enjoyed the content, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It'll help get this out to more people. Also, I am becoming more and more active on Twitter, so if you would like to follow me and, talk Splinterlands with me on there, I'd love to do it. And where I'm most accessible. So I am at Hawks21 Gaming on Twitter. You should be able to find it, and there's a link in the description of the video. All right, thanks for being here. Have a great day.